All right, so good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Webinar Wednesday. My name is Franklin, and I'm the Product App Specialist for Kits, the most dynamic visual sales platform that will help accelerate the sales process. Now, you've come to the right place, as this is the webinar you need to join each and every week to learn those tips and tricks of Kits to becoming a supercharged power user. Now, in case you have any questions, you can submit them in the chat box. That's going to be located in the GoToWebinar control panel. Should be on the right side of your screen. And what I'll do is I'll take a few minutes at the end of today's webinar to answer any of your questions. Now, our free training webinar is scheduled again for Thursday, September 12th at 3 p.m. So be sure to attend, especially if you're new to Kits or if you just like a quick review with me. Now, sign up is easy. All you need to do is look out for Julia's email blast, or you can go directly to our Knowledge Center to register for all our upcoming webinars. All right. So today we're going to cover everything that you need to know about rendering, creating quick sheets, and sharing your project in Kits on your Windows 10 device. Now, don't fret, my iPad users, as all gestures and features are similar and seamless with either platform. So what we're going to be covering is basically creating renderings. That's the option or renderings that you have, from line drawings to good and best qualities. Sharing with your client and team members that all-important quick sheets to create those estimations. Also sharing between your team members, and again, the export AutoCAD feature as well. Now, lastly, what we'll be taking a look at is also how you can organize your projects and any best practices that you should know about. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Bear with me one moment. Let's get Kits up here. All right. So here is Kits. This is actually where you're going to start off, always in the project gallery screen, as I mentioned before. Now, what you see here are all the projects that we've created. Now, last week, we created this meeting space here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and open up this particular project, because this is the one that we're actually going to go ahead and complete. All right, so I have my KOE catalog items that I have already gone ahead and added them to the rendering. And the reason why I've done this is so that what we can do here with the KOE catalog is we can truly show the client exactly how the space is going to function. All right. Most importantly, how the furniture and the setup is going to support the people that are going to use the space. All right. Remember, at the end of the day, when we sell furniture, we're selling furniture because it needs to support the people that are going to be using that space. All right, and something that I always talk about all the time is understanding exactly what the actual requirement is, because we know that clients will always have a set of wants, but it's really up to us to finding exactly what they need. We're the professionals. We know the product best. All right, so what we have here, again, is a meeting space, and more importantly, what this meeting space was to include was the option of having some type of LED screen also included for the meeting. All right. So let's talk about having to set up your rendering or your project for rendering. All right. So one thing that I always talk about is perspective. You know, whose perspective are we trying to capture? All right. We can certainly create as many renderings as you want. I mean, that's the idea of being able to have access to Kits. Again, we're empowering the salespeople to be able to do this on the fly without having to have that wait time for the design team to turn a project quickly and out back into the salesperson's hands. We're talking about being able to find solutions in front of your client and also being able to render those projects right in front of them in real time. All right. So here again, we have the setup. Now, again, just to refresh exactly what the requirement was, it's a meeting space with a focus on this sort of media type access, having an LED screen here that they can use to, let's say, run their online meetings and as well as present anything that they need to. All right, so when I talk about perspective view, I always like to use the analogy of the private office for the executive that is client-facing. All right, so if we think about the space, obviously if it's an executive, fit and finish has to be one of the key factors. but we truly have to understand exactly what that space is for. All right. So again, for a client-facing executive, who is, or best yet, what are we designing that space for? It's really for the clients that are actually going to be coming into the space. That's where we have to kind of understand those subtle nuances about each and every project that we work on, because they may not be completely straightforward. And what we might be rendering for the clients that we're selling to is basically a view of the furniture. But if you can actually put it in a perspective of what their clients are going to see when they come to visit this executive, that actually communicates much more than just furniture. Because what you're truly doing is you're putting yourself in the client's shoes, and you're showing them exactly how they're going to accommodate their clients when they come to visit that space. Okay, so just like this meeting space here, we're talking about having this larger space where we can accommodate up to 8 people. All right, they could be doing regular meetings, but most importantly, they could also be presenting ideas on the screen. They could also be going through online meetings using this screen as well. Okay, so we can certainly take various views and shots of the particular space. Okay, but if we actually look and see how we can utilize this best and zoom in, what I'm doing is I'm playing focus exactly how this is actually going to function. And I'm really showing the importance of, again, how people are going to be able to access what's on this screen, how people are going to be able to present to the audience. This all really captures all that in this particular view. And you can see here, I mean, I'm cutting off some of the actual furniture, because the idea is that we can actually create these multiple perspective views that help tell a story. Okay? So I'm pretty satisfied with this particular view here, so I'm going to go ahead and quickly render it. Now, you can see here we have a few options. We have line drawing, we have good quality fast, and we have best quality. Okay? I've already done a line drawing, and I've already done a good quality fast. I'm going to go ahead and use best quality. Now, one thing you may notice here is that it just mentioned that this particular project was sent to the Kits Cloud. For all our XR Pro users, what we've done is we've provided them with a new feature, and that's being able to render your project in our cloud. So Kits literally shoots up your project to the cloud, and our rendering engine turns that project back and sends it right back down in seconds. So not only are you able to, again, render this in real time, but you're also able to render this in a best quality in seconds. Okay? Now, if you don't have an XR Pro license, you still have access to that same great rendering engine. The only difference is it uses your own device to render the actual project. Okay? So, again, we're talking about minutes, not hours, being able to render these projects for your client. All right? All right, so if I go back here and I go into HD Render, what I can do is I can click on View Previous Renderings, and I can see all the different renderings that I've created. Okay? What this illustrates is, again, the story that I want to tell my clients. All right, so here we have a line drawing. And the reason why I like to create line drawings is because what it actually does is it removes any obstruction of finishes. In this case, we don't have KOE catalog items placed in it yet. But what this really shows is the functionality of the furniture itself. Okay? What I also like to do is I also like to create a quick plan view. So at least if the client requires a footprint, we also have a footprint that we can share. Now, one thing that you may notice if you look around in my chairs, none of my chairs are aligned. And one of the best practices to consider when you're creating renderings is to break up symmetry. And the reason why is because in the real world, we'll never have chairs that are perfectly aligned with our desks. What we want to do is we want to break up that symmetry, because what we're trying to capture is something that's more photorealistic. We're trying to humanize this project. Okay, so that's something that you should always consider when you're working on these projects, especially when you're creating these renderings and adding KOE catalog items, because again, what we're trying to do is we're trying to humanize the actual scene. Right? And again, if you're client facing and you need to turn around a quick image, you can certainly use the first option, good quality fast, because that will turn around a project, still providing you with a stunning visual, adding shade and shadow, but it'll do this in seconds. All right, so now that we have all these renderings, I can go ahead and complete my estimation. All right, now one thing that I've also done here is you can see I've added a carpet. Okay, and I've added a carpet so that, again, it can complete the floor grid size that we've set for this particular project. And the reason why is because we can assume when we have the floor grid here that what we're looking at is basically the size requirement of the space. But it's hard to see that when you just create a rendering in white space. Let's take a look at that view, some of the renderings that we created in the white space. Okay. So again, you can see here, same project, no KOE catalog items. However, this is done in white space. We can certainly see that there's a work wall here, there's a table, there's chairs, but we don't necessarily know any kind of dimensioning around this space. Again, remember, kits is a sales tool. It's not a design tool. And that's one of the reasons why we don't allow dimensioning in kits. But what we've done is we've added items such as the KOE catalog catalog to help you with really telling that story. And if I take a look at this particular rendering that I did as a plan view, what I actually have is the carpet that's fulfilling the actual floor grid space. What that's actually doing is it's creating demarcation points for me so that I can truly understand that the furniture layout that we're creating, including this work wall, is going to be sufficient for this space. And I'm going to have enough space allocated around this table for human circulation. That means for people to walk around the space without any obstruction. All right? So that's one of the reasons why I like to use carpeting or any kind of flooring when I create these renderings, because again, what it does is it gives us this visual cue, these demarcation points of the actual size requirement of the space. All right, so I got all of that covered now. We have all these great renderings to use. So let's go ahead and start with clicking on the share button. And now, first off, creating that project quick sheet. Okay, so what I have here is basically a branded document that's going to have my credentials, my dealer logo, and it's going to be able to populate the entire project, including all the items, and providing the pre-configured list price. Okay, we're not going to be talking about discounts yet. That's actually for another day, and how you can do item discounting. But what we have here is a document that we can share it to our client that can provide them a quick estimation of this particular project. Now, on the left-hand side, we have some options. So under project name, I can delete this because what I can do is I can rename this project for this PDF and share it with my client. Okay, I'm just going to put meeting area. Now I can also click on HD rendering under visuals, and I can select any one of these great renderings that I've created. Go ahead and pick this one. Okay. Next, under pricing, you can see here by default, we have list pricing already indicated. However, what I can do is I can provide a global discount at this level, which will provide my client a quick estimation and a quick discount based on the percentage I want to remove, I want to take off. So in this case here, I'm going to go ahead and say we're looking roughly about 45% discount, and you can now see the discount added, and we can see the new sell price. I can even include a custom sell line. So let's say we want to include installation costs. We've now added installation costs. I can add any note by turning on this control switch. All I have to do is make sure that when I turn on this switch, I click in the box below and I type in any notes that I need to include. And you can see here it's included in my PDF. So now you can see that we have a complete line-by-line list of all the parts and specifications required for this particular project. Okay. We know that sometimes you need to protect your bid. So what we've done is we've given you the ability to control exactly what the client needs to see. Okay, so if you had discounting at the item level, you can certainly turn that off. Okay, all these details are currently on when you create the quick sheet. We can remove thumbnails, options and finishes, and what I can do is I can provide my client with a complete list of the parts with some details removed, or I can even provide them with just a one-sheeter. All right, so you're going to go ahead and save this to your local device, especially if you're on a Windows 10 device, and you're going to use your email client that you normally use, and you're going to attach the document. Okay, for our iPad users, because the iPad natively uses the Mail email client, it will automatically prompt an email using the email that's associated to your iPad. Okay, if you have multiple emails, you can certainly select between any one of them. All you have to do is just select the email that you want to use. What we do suggest and recommend is if it's not your professional email, you'll want to send it to your professional email first and then send it out. But if your professional email is associated to your iPad, then you can certainly use the email template that's generated, and you can share this project, this PDF, with your client. All right? All right, so that covers quick sheets. Now let's take a look at how we can share projects amongst other Kits users. Okay, so here we have the share project feature. Now just imagine this. You're working in a dealership, you have multiple salespeople that all have Kits licenses, you all work on similar projects. Okay, maybe you might be a little bit better at private desking, someone might be a little bit better at reception and lounge. What we suggest you do is you crowdsource the projects that you create. So that means any project that I create, I may want to share with all my peers. All you need to do is enter the email addresses here, separate them with a comma, and you can share that to any Kits user. Just remember the email address that you enter here needs to be associated to another Kits user's Kits account. Okay. What you can also do is you can appoint a lead person. Maybe it's the power user from your team, and everybody can share their projects anytime they complete a project with this power user. The power user can then organize it through folders, and I'll show you how to do that a little bit later. And then if any project is required, they can go over what's available, and that project can be shared out to the person that requires that particular project. Okay, there's multiple ways that you can actually share amongst your users, but it's always best to be able to crowdsource these projects because you never know when a project that your peer creates may be useful for a project that you're working on. All right. Now, if you're collaborating with your design team, you can export an AutoCAD DXF and CIF file. This you can send out to anybody with a valid email address. What it actually sends is a DXF file that can be opened up in CAD, converted to a DWG, and then can be used in a larger floor plan to validate the project. You can also provide your customer service team a CIF file, or you can take that CIF file and you can import it into one of the platforms that you use to create your quotes, such as 2020 Worksheet. And you can import your project into 2020 Worksheet and complete your quote that way. Okay? All right. So we're satisfied with everything. We've shared the project out to our peers. We've also sent documentation to our client and also validated the project with our design team. So what we now need to do is we need to organize our project. So here in the project gallery screen, you can see here I have quite a few different projects as well as folders that are already created. What you should consider is that your KITS mobile device or your account that's on your preferred device, whether it's Windows 10 or an iPad, is like the remote control over your account. Anything that you do in KITS mobile becomes a permanent action after you run a sync. Okay? So it's important to understand that, because every time we run a sync, what that actually does is it backs up your account on our cloud. So any existing projects that are currently on your device then get updated to our cloud. So what we can do here is if we need to create a folder for a particular project that we're working on, all we have to do is click with our left mouse button and hold, and you can see it highlights the project. I can select any other project that I need. And now when I click on any one of these highlighted projects, you can kind of see here that they gather. When I place it on top of another project and let go, that now creates a folder. Let's go into the folder. And what we're going to do is we're going to rename this folder just KITS Demo. Whoops. Let's click on X. And you can now see we have a folder created for KITS Demo. Anytime I need to search for a project, I can certainly click on Search. And you remember, this is not a Google search. So KITS will require you to use a keyword that's associated to the actual project name. For instance, we have a meeting table. I'm just going to put meet. And what it does is it will single out any project with the letters MEET in the actual project name. Okay, it doesn't search for folders. It only searches for projects. All right? Now again, you can see here, all our KITS projects are organized by the most recently saved. However, I can click on name and I can view my projects alphanumerically. We also have a new button called Manage Projects. Okay, this was introduced with the 2.5 update for Windows 10. Now, I'm not going to go into this. It's actually for another webinar. And for my iPad users, you will soon be receiving also an update for your KITS to 2.5, which will include Manage Projects and a more efficient way to sync your device. All right? All right. Well, that's pretty much it. We've covered everything that you need to know about rendering, about document sharing, and organizing your projects. So let's take a look to see if there are any questions. All right. So that's pretty much it, folks. That's a wrap. We've now concluded our webinar. So what you've now seen is basically how KITS can accelerate your next sales project by allowing you to do and create stunning visualizations and required documentation that you can share to your clients. Now remember, KITS is all about empowering the salesperson, because what we want to truly do is we want to make it easy for you to be able to close your projects without having to have the wait time of sending your project out to a design team or to a customer service team to validate your project. We already know how bogged down design teams are. In fact, they're getting 10 to 20 projects a day with a turnaround time of a day. So you can imagine having the empowerment of using kits to being able to find solutions for your client in real time and being able to render and share the appropriate documentation with them as well. All right. Now, don't forget, all our webinars are recorded, so you can simply go to our YouTube channel and you can search for any topic that you're interested in, and you can view that webinar on that particular topic. Now, we're always looking for someone to become our next KITS collaborator. All you have to do is share your success story with us, include any renderings of your project, and a selfie. And what we're going to do is we're going to reward you with a $50 Amazon gift card simply by sharing your experience with us. We want you to get your story across to all our other users, to inspire others as well to being successful with kits. All right? All right. Don't forget, our next basic training session is scheduled for September 12th. So again, what you can do is you can check out our Knowledge Center, or you can wait for that email blast from Julia to sign up for that next training session or any of our other webinars that will be scheduled. All right. Well, that's it for me today, folks. On behalf of the KITS team, have a great rest of the week and enjoy the last few weeks of summer. Unfortunately, winter is approaching. Okay, fall's approaching first, but winter's coming soon. All right, bye everyone. Have a great day.